I had a couple more shots of that whiskey stuff. I genuinely can't remember the rest of that day. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I can still remember that sort of situation, mainly because my memory didn't get erased after that point. Sorry, it did get erased after that point, didn't get erased before it. I did the standard test to see if they knew anything of Western culture, whether they could even relate or whether they could talk about anything. And unfortunately, the way you do that is you say David Beckham, Manchester United. It's a real sad indictment of the human race that that's how you've got to find this out. And so you say like, hello, I'm from England, what is your name? And you get nothing. And then you say David Beckham, and normally, oh, David Beckham! Okay, so you know something, but absolutely nothing. And we didn't exchange one word that meant anything to each other than, I think she asked me if I was 24, but she was just sort of doing that to me. 24. And yeah, it was just really awesome. We didn't exchange any phone numbers, any email addresses, any websites. There was nothing. It was just to be friendly and just to help welcome in the new year. And they sent me away. And they will never know if that I now tell this story to people. As a thing, the world is a good place, and the places that people say you shouldn't go normally are the places you should within reason. And it was just awesome. But yeah, so although I can't remember the rest of the day, I do know that I rode away from this place. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. One hand again, so you can see the camera opinion. Yeah, and then, so that was it for the amount of time. Oh yeah, I don't know if you remember the state of my bike when I bought it, but it looked amazing. After only 2 weeks of Marsh ownership, it ended up looking like this. The back top box wasn't even really attached anymore, it was actually just held on with bungees and things. But I went to the train station in Hanoi, apparently, because these countries, right, okay. And yeah, I then got the train back down south, to the south of Vietnam. My ticket, it was like a 1,600 kilometre journey. My ticket was about $100, give or take, and the bike's was like 120, pretty much the same amount. And yeah, I was told that if I left my bike with them, and they put a sticker on top which had a photocopy of my passport on it, that it would be waiting for me in Saigon in 3 days' time. And such is the way in Vietnam. You thought, well, of all the bikes that they're going to try and steal, they're really not going to steal this one, so I'll go with it. And sure enough, it was. They put a bit of cardboard over the front basket to stop all the crap falling out. And it was wonderful. So then I rode back to the border to go back to Cambodia, and this is me trying to act as cool as possible when trying to sell my motorcycle. The way that, and obviously I've never tried selling a motorcycle in Vietnam before, and I don't know how you do it, so I thought I'll use a bit of logic here. I'll just ride up to the border, and I'll stop, I'll light a cigarette, and I'll wave the registration card around. Because I'm white, I'm at the border, on a motorcycle, waving a registration card around. This should be the most obvious thing in the world. And sure enough, in about half an hour I sold it. And this was the bargaining process. So we're at the border. That's right, you can talk to me as well. We tried to sell it for 3 million to this man.
No, yeah.
2.5 million I've been offered. Getting there. It needs to be 3. I bought it for 6. And eventually I sold it for $120, give or take. So yeah, so I bought it for $300 and sold it for $120, which I was fine with. Okay, I lost, $180 on the bike, but I did get a 2-week one-way motorcycle home. So I was fine with that. And also in the state that the bike ended up being, I really wasn't happy selling it for any more. Yeah, so I took all the pieces off it. With everybody laughing at me, because they're trying to work out what I'm doing. And went back into Cambodia, which of course can only mean one thing. I'm showing the wrong shot. Right? Go back into Cambodia, I can only do one thing. My camera, please. And the reason that I like leaving that little last bit in, which you can't see, is like, please, can I have my camera? Is because anytime you see the camera moving, I have to give it to a random local, or like maybe a Westerner I've met, but I met so few of this. And of course, that's the other brilliant thing about just having like a $300-400 camera, is you can give it to somebody and ask them to film you, and although they're probably not going to steal it anyway, they won't really want to because it's not worth that much money and it isn't worth going to jail for. But they're also, if it does get stolen, then you can just buy another one. Whereas if you're trying to get people to film with like a massive like DSLR or something, you know, you can be handed over like $2,000. And yeah, so this is me, you know, getting the shot and going, can I have my camera, please? Anytime you see me drive past the camera, which in the presentation wasn't that much of because you don't really need the shots in order to link the story together as in the film, I have to set it up on the tripod, turn around, ride backwards, turn around, ride past the camera, turn around, go and pick it up, and hopefully it's still there. It was quite happy with it. Yeah, so I was now reunited with my motorcycle, and we were heading back across Cambodia. And that is one shot which I actually managed to get, which really conveys just how beautiful the country is, rather than capturing me being an idiot. But it's a lovely, lovely part of the world. And then I decided to cheat a little bit, and I went on a railway that's called the Bamboo Railway. And it's called that because the carriages are made of bamboo, which is very aptly named. How it runs is they just have a very archaic stationary engine, which has a belt which just runs straight onto the axle, and the engine is actually loose. And in order to get drive, they jam a stick in the engine, and they lever it away until the belt goes tight. And it's not brilliant. There is a design flaw with the Bamboo Railway, and that's only one track. And trains go in both directions, obviously, otherwise you just have a lot of trains one way and a large train factory the other way, I guess. But yeah, so the problem you have is you meet people fairly frequently. And they've ended up with quite a nice hierarchy, which says the train that has the most number of people on it gets priority, or with the most awkward amount of crap on it. Well, I've got a motorcycle, so I win the most awkward amount of crap award. So when we came across these two tourists.
How was it?
Of course, the easiest thing to do is you pick up the train and you move it. The thing that I like, obviously, both drivers have to move the train because it takes two people. This guy doesn't own that train. This guy does. Yeah, so also, I love how straight the tracks are. But yeah, it was just really cool. I really like that around. Oh yes. By this point, I've been using my bike to go to work a lot back in the UK, and the ships out to Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, and then I was now back in Thailand at this point, in Bangkok, getting ready to ship the bike to Nepal. It got to the point where I've known this bike for a long time, and in terms of love, I guess, no, well, in fact, I knew that I loved her, and I still do. If you want to look at the definition of love, you know, is that you couldn't bear to be without them. There are other models which are newer and prettier, maybe. These don't wobble as much, but I love her. Yeah, so I decided it was now the time to really seal this moment, and I would get married to my motorcycle. There's only one way to do it. You've got to be chivalrous, of course. We'll get married. Yeah, so I had asked my wife to marry me. Of course, she fainted. You know, obviously, yes, it's a set-up shot. I don't ever fake anything in any of what I do, except for the stuff that is so obviously faked, you know it is. I cannot act on this trip. Me and Rachel were, you know, we've had little things happen here and there. When, oh, wish we got that on camera. Right, let's just reenact it. And we've tried and we can't because we're not actors. And it's really horrible. So yeah, so things like this are okay in my eyes. And of course, in order to get this to happen, it actually ended up being quite a pain. I had to get my friend's Thai girlfriend to be the cameraman, and she just got a random passerby. She said, right, do you want to earn like $10? Can you help us do a bit of filming? We need you off camera to pull this bit of string which is attached to his side stand when he asked his wife to marry him. His woman going, I didn't understand that, but I understand $10, so I'm fine. Because the problem was she didn't speak English, so she can only deal with English in terms of its sound. So to her, it's basically right. When he goes like wah wah woo, you pull the string. She's like, right, got it. So I'm going wah 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 woo like that, and it took about 10 takes for her to get the comedy timing right. In the end, I said, the second that I say it, pull the string. And because it took her so long in order to understand it, she had perfect comedy timing because she goes, oh, that was it. She'd pull it. So that was how we got this shot. Everything takes a lot longer in sort of foreign countries to get into the things, which is why most fake TV shows they always have the big camera crews with them. But I did make a wedding dress for my motorcycle, which is a mosquito net and a tiara out of my first party wedding set, which I got the ring from as well. So if you're sure on cash, gents, and want to propose to your woman, I can thoroughly recommend that set. I went and bought a shirt, because I don't know, and a tie. I then got sashes made, bride and groom in English and Thai, and got them printed at the local shop. Got some flowers, and I actually went to the Bangkok Love Festival, which isn't quite as horrible as it sounds. And it's on Valentine's Day every year, and it's where thousands of Thai people will get married on the same day. Because it's basically free to get married on that day if you go to the wedding office. So I went there to genuinely get married to my wife. This is me outside. I very quickly have a load of very confused TV. Dude, what are you doing? Like, I want to marry my motorcycle. Like, okay. And it's really weird because they couldn't really comprehend. It's like, so you are riding around the world and you're managing it. So you obviously kind of know what you're doing, but you are also trying to marry your motorcycle. I hung around there for ages. Confused a lot of people. That's the outside. But alas, they wouldn't actually marry me. Tried for a long time and actually got my mate's Thai girlfriend to help. Basically said that you can't do it and the wedding office is on the 7th floor. So when they combine these two things, it basically kills the plan. So I am still only engaged to her. One of those things, I guess. Anyway, I need a time check because I overrun horrifically, so I need to work out how to.
8:36.
8:36. Crap. Right.
Oh, wait a minute. 7:36.
Right, so I had to ship a bike from Thailand over to Nepal. And I give you Exhibit A. Exhibit A is a GS1200 inside a box, which hasn't been taken apart, admittedly, like completely. Normally it's had the front wheel off, but this is the GS1200 in a box. This is Exhibit A. GS1200 in the box. So, when you send a bike by air, you basically pay for its size. So you pay for the volumetric size of it, basically. So the smaller you can get your vehicle, the better. This is how you save money. So so I'm at the place where I'm getting the bike shipped from Thailand to Nepal, and so that's the B one. I will now give you Exhibit B, which is my motorcycle, stripped down, ready for shipping, next to the GS1200. That is the difference in size. Now, I did have to obviously take it apart a lot. I mean, in terms of how compact you can make a motorcycle, you'll be hard pressed to beat that. But yeah, it cost me $600 to get it sent over. That was including all of the fees both ends. So yeah, I ended up saving, I think I saved like an extra $1,000 on that one, possibly a bit more. So everything is sort of adding up every single time that people are like, oh, you're a moron for taking a Honda 90. I'm like, well, I've got $1,000, which I can now teach you. So I think, and yeah, so this is pretty tiny. Yeah, and there is next to a Sprite bottle. Right. When I landed in Nepal, I was waiting for a Pakistan visa. So I had to kill some time. I was trying to work out what to do. So I decided the best thing to do would be to hike to Everest Base Camp. Because I thought, why not? As you're there. It was another one of those things, there's a lot of sort of stigma around it. You go to Everest Base Camp, well, you need Gore-Tex, you need hiking poles, you need one of those EPIRB emergency beacons, and you need you're very noises things. And I decided, no, I've got a pair of DC trainers, and I'm going to borrow a coat from somebody. So I borrowed a coat, and I took my DC trainers, and me and a chef called Mingma decided to go up to Everest Base Camp together. The recommended time to go there and back is 10 to 12 days. And because I had to get back to get my Pakistan visa in time, or so I thought, I ended up going there and back in, I think I was getting a bit fuzzy, I think it was 7 days. It was basically approaching half the recommended time. So I actually ended up giving myself altitude sickness from climbing too fast, which was quite impressive, really. Yeah, so we set off. And yeah, it starts off with all the steps and rocks. Time for shoelaces soon, I reckon. So time to do my shoelaces up at some point. So I've gone from 34 degrees in Bangkok 4 days later to, I don't know what temperature it is, but it is snowing. So yeah, so in terms of my body thermometer getting confused, I was in Bangkok 3 days previous, and it was a tropical country, 34 degrees Celsius, which is a number in Fahrenheit. And so 3 days later it was snowing. So I was getting well and truly confused. Then you throw the altitude sickness. I was having way at the time.
Bollocks.
Choice of footwear, obviously. Right, I'm thinking of. We've been spotted and they've sent in donkey bombs. I don't know when they're set to detonate. Where's the trigger? Yeah, so I'll go on to the next slide. Just see all these sort of awesome things, and I didn't sort of really appreciate that everything that I'm going to see on the way up has to be taken up either by person or by donkey. So it includes all these animals that they strap upside down propane cylinders to. But I didn't see any explode, so it must work. So this is me, I believe. So here we are.
Stuff over to base camp before I sleep in.
Yeah, so I decided, since we go to base camp, didn't really take much. It's now got so cold that I'm wearing a coat which I borrowed. I did, though, only have my tropical sleeping bag, which had a comfort rating of, I think it was like +6, which was already like pushing its limits because it was basically a piece of tissue paper with a zip on. Because I could sleep in that when it was like in the 30s. So to be able to sleep at those temperatures, it wasn't going to work. But this is me starting to suffer altitude sickness, and there's actually blood on my nose when you wake up in the morning.
My nose decided to explode. I think it's because of the low pressure or something. But all I could do was collect a big bag of blood, which interestingly now in the mornings it's frozen.
I've seen my own blood freeze before.
Absolutely horrible. And it's my water bottle as you wake up in the morning.
So yeah,
lovely.
Excellent piece of camera up there. So definitely not within the limits of my sleeping bag. Wasn't really feeling at my best. Every time, as we were climbing during the day, as I was going to sleep, I was feeling a bit dizzy. Sometimes my vision would go slightly blurry and start to lose my sense of balance. I was basically bordering on proper altitude sickness every single night. Ming, my Sherpa, said, as you are at the moment, it probably won't get worse and you die during your sleep. You'll probably stay as it is. And in the morning, if you're still like this, then we need to take you down, or you'll be dead. But you should be dead, sort of tell you that. But it turned out, during my sleep, I was actually acclimatising to the altitude. And then I was able to carry on and never get altitude sickness the next day. This is Rachel's favourite piece that I've ever filmed. And this is probably the only thing that I've actually filmed twice. I filmed technically once, but it happened, and then I thought, I've got to get that film. So I turned around, climbed back to the bottom of the part which I just climbed, got the camera out, and then started recording. Blizzard came in, you see the rocks bouncing through the shot. Everest Base Camp, not as spectacular as you think, but then again it's the natural beauty, not the tourist design also. I need down there. I think this projector's slightly out of focus actually, but I think it'll do. And yeah, that was hopefully there. That was a really weird moment. This was another 300 metres above Everest Base Camp, which is actually down there on that glacier field that comes down. And that was actually my foot, and a bird landed on it randomly, and that's Everest in the background. I do actually have a freeze frame of that, so which is just one of those really weird moments. I'm not a spiritual person, but I wonder if that bird was somebody, because it's such a strange thing for a bird to land on your foot as you're looking out.
I don't know if anybody's ever covered this in a documentary before, but the Himalayas can actually be quite cold. Oh, I can't take anymore. How can anybody do this?
And the reason for this is because I went up there, admittedly, kind of with the same, not cavalier attitude maybe, but I obviously do get a bit of enjoyment out of somebody who's spent more than the entire budget of like this Alaska to Argentina trip on one motorcycle, and they're going like, yeah, but I've got this because it's the only way to do it. You can't possibly do it any other way. And me going up to base camp with all the people, the Gore-Tex and the hiking boots and the poles and the emergency beacons and everything, going, yeah, but you can't do it with anything less. And I thought, I was like, yeah, but I'm doing a pair of trainers and like coat up on it. Like, I'm not really cool. And then you meet like all of these like Sherpas or the porters, and you're like now I feel like a right dick. Because it's a very standard bloke thing. I assume it's the same over in Canada. I haven't actually checked, but in England, if you're a bloke and you go into a supermarket, you will not pick up a basket or a trolley because you think, this is fine, I only need a couple of things. And you'll be stood in the line there carrying like a crate of beers under each arm or something. And it hurts like hell. After like 30 seconds of being stood there, come on, they weigh so much. And this guy here, that's two crates of San Miguel there, two crates of San Miguel there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 crates of another type here, and then another 8 on top, and all of it is supported on a strap on his head, and he's going to, well, he could be going to one of the shacks, which is on the way to Everest Base Camp. He could be like a kilometre like down, further towards the trail, Everest Base Camp. And he's doing that, carrying like I don't know how many kilos of beer on his head. And he doesn't have shoelaces. He's just got a pair of slip-on shoes and some Adidas trousers. And he's like, yeah, all of a sudden I feel like a bit of a dick, really. It was fair enough, as I often do. But yeah, so that was another one of those like humbling moments. And when they have a rest, they've got the stick out the bottom, so they're doing all that. Yeah, and all the houses which have been built by people carrying the wood up by hand. Phenomenal. Yeah, that was my. Yeah, that's right. There's Everest post. It's the corny adventure shop. There we go.
Next time you order some plywood from B&Q and it doesn't turn up just when it was supposed to, spare thought of these guys.
So yeah, go and build a new house, and they'll walk for like a week, and that's me.